Good morning, everyone. Welcome as we start coming on in. We're pulling up, or I'm pulling up chats and screens and everything for Substack. We should all be starting a broadcast. Good morning on YouTube for those who are watching there or who may come in later. I see y'all too. Good morning, good morning. It is Monday morning. That means it's the Sick of This show. Chronic Illness in Practice. And today we are joined by my friends Beth Cruz, Stephanie Wilson, and Coach Cap, i.e., Jacob. Um, so, welcome, all three of you. It's good to have you. Two returning guests, one new guest for the Chronic Illness show, but a longtime friend and returning guest on the Sick of the Show in many places. So, good morning to all three of you. How are you all today?
Doing great. It's a good morning. Good to see you guys.
Good to see you guys doing
Marvelous.
fantastic. And that's the
Good.
fantastic that it sounds like, which is,
Yeah.
fan-fucking-tastic.
Hey,
It's going
you
great.
woke up
I
today.
actually got sleep last night, so I am okay
Good.
today. So
I figure every day that I wake up is a good day at this point. So
yeah,
I can't complain too much. I woke up today, so hey, we're here.
Yeah, it's
That's a
good.
good start. And I get to talk to y'all today, so that's even a better start because it's it's fun to get to talk to you guys. I enjoy getting to talk to everyone and interact with folks in the audience on, especially on our Substack audience, who are really always engaged in everything. And um, talk about chronic illness. And uh, one of our big ones to um, one of our big ones to allow people to like big things is to allow people to engage with us and bring your experiences into the conversation too. And so today we wanted to talk about the onset. So Beth messaged me last week and was like, "Oh, I'd love to talk." Basically, I'm not going to put all the words in your mouth, but it was basically, I'd like to talk about the onset because we don't always talk about that and how it's impacted us. And I thought it was great and a fantastic idea to be able to do that. Um, and I'd love for the audience to weigh in. I know there are many of you um, who are in the audience who are also chronic illness sufferers too. Um, and so as we go today, please feel free to chime in on any of the four chats. I have all four of them open. Good morning, everyone, as you come into, I see everyone in the chat, Michelle, Cat. There's two cats. Tyler, I see you in there too. Um, and all of the friends who are coming in through my channel, plus everyone on Stephanie's, Beth's, and Coach Caps. Welcome, everyone. Um, and so the onset, and what do I mean by the onset? The start of your condition. One of your, if you have multiple chronic conditions, maybe if they all started roughly around the same time, what caused it? Things like that, and how it's impacted our lives since then, like what's changed for us since we've gotten our diagnoses, or even our onsets of our chronic conditions, and and how our lives have modified or become different because we're no longer who we were before. Um, so, Beth, I'd love to let you start off on this conversation because you were the one who introduced the idea, and then we'll go around the room and get feedback from everyone on our stories
Okay.
and go. And so, Beth, please take it away, my friend.
Thank you. I guess I wanted to talk about the onset because I wanted to hear other experiences. Mine, it was 2016, and I was sitting at a restaurant. It was an Italian restaurant in Michigan, and I was having a Merlot with a girlfriend. And I noticed there was like a tingling in my foot. It first started out I just kept moving my foot, and I thought it started to hurt. And when I got down from the high stool, I thought, oh, it kind of gave out a little bit. And by the next morning, I was crying. I was in so much pain. I didn't have the swelling, but I couldn't walk. And I was the only one at home. And I drove myself to the ER. And they, at that time, they were like, oh, it's gout. Here you go. Here's some prednisone, some steroids. Take that. And that was my journey. Had I known at that moment that was going to change my life, I think I really would have started looking into help earlier. I honestly kind of dismissed it. I just thought, okay, well, I won't eat fish or, wine. I wasn't giving up. I wasn't giving up the wine, but
Yeah, you gotta have something.
Yeah, right. Gotta have a little something, a little vice, but. I realized that I had a high stress prior. I had just moved across country. We were told my husband was going to die. And so we had made this major move. It didn't work when we moved. We were there a year and we came back to Washington. But so I was already planning to come back and I was already extremely stressed. And so what I have found out is with spondyloarthropathy, psoriatic arthritis, that's the umbrella term. And psoriatic arthritis falls in that. I also have osteoarthritis and gouty arthritis with so many other things, fibromyalgia. And so I think the onset is important because were you stressed? I find for me that I have to limit my stress. If I get incredibly stressed out, I will go into a painful flare. And it has changed my life in ways I couldn't imagine. As far as I was mobile, I was active, I was busy. A couple months ago, I had to buy a walker, and that was traumatic to have to do that. And so, but the recognition is some days I just have to, and so, yeah, it has changed my life. So
I think knowing our limitations,
yes,
like accepting them, knowing them is one thing, but accepting them is another thing. I think knowing that we have limitations is the first step to accepting that we don't have to shame ourselves when we need help. Because I know that experience too.
That's a hard one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Asking for help is the hard one. Yeah.
Asking for help is really hard.
Mm-hmm.
Also accepting the fact that your body sometimes tells you when you're done.
Mhm.
Like hard stop, you're not doing anymore. Like don't even bother trying to get off the couch. Like
that's a big one that I struggled with, that I can vibe with you on that one, is that learning how to listen to your body on that and then making yourself react accordingly. And then the struggle of getting other people around you to understand that you are listening to your body, which is not to, shame anybody who's not trained at that or has had experience with it or anything like that. But a lot of people are like, no, just come do this. And I'm like, no, you've got to listen to your body. You've got to listen to it when it finally tells you to sit down, rest, you're done, you're out of energy.
Yes.
Yeah. I don't do that very well, is listening to my body. I've started getting better at that. Like I weeded this weekend, and we have a big
still standing.
we have a big like 12 by 12 by 12 U-shaped raised flower bed and vegetable garden. And it was overgrown and gotten a little wild. And I also had to pick out all the plants and stuff or vegetables that were no longer needed. Um, and I did not listen to my body while I was doing it. Um, I definitely overdid it. I know that feeling, and I was just like, no, no, I'm gonna keep going. I'm gonna keep going. I'm gonna do this. Do you guys get in that mindset sometimes of where it's like, if I stop, I'm gonna be done. But if I just keep going, my body's gonna stay moving at least for a little while.
Yes.
Yes, but then it's like often when I'm like traveling, like you keep going and you're traveling as opposed to having time to like drop out and rest. And then I get home and I'm flat for days at least.
That's it. If you push it, Nick, as you guys know, you might be able let's get those extra weeds, or let's push just a little bit further, do that one more thing. I get it, because once you sit down, that's it. At least for me, my body will just tense right up, everything. I seem to have a lot of tendon issues,
Mm,
really painful tendons. And it's like, I'm done. So you keep pushing, but then you might be out of commission for a day or two. And it's like, what the hell? This is me, right?
That was
hmm
Mhm.
I used I used to describe that as, when I'm up, I'm up. When I'm down. And to use that energy as much as I could when I had it. The only thing that I learned about that is if I rely on using that energy until I don't have it anymore, then I crash even harder. So I have to basically remind myself to stop about 5 to 10% before I think I'm going to run out, so that I'm not actually pushing it all the way to the edge of the battery, like basically, using your iPhone until it hits like 5%, as opposed to letting it actually fully die and turn into a brick.
Yeah.
So
I'm pretty amazed that you can tell. I mean, I have a hard time, if I'm doing so much that I'm pushing through, like I've got so much adrenaline that's pushing me that like at 5% I wouldn't be able to know that it's 5%. So I'm really amazed that you can do that. That's great.
that comes from, I will say, a lot of since I coach as a job, and one of the things that I've had to do is how to see that in others and see that in myself. But it's also, as I tell everybody with everything, it's a lot of trial and error from having pushed all the way to burnout before. And it's not perfect because, like you said, I'm not every time going to be able to go, okay, I'm at 5%, stop, or have the willpower to, because most of my willpower is going to want to go into finishing whatever I'm doing. But it's a very hard earned lesson for me of having pushed past my energy point so many times that, kind of like and I'm not trying to liken it to substance abuse, but kind of like that. If you've been burnt by that so many times, you don't want to feel that way again. It is more motivating to me to never want to feel that way again than to. So that's where that calibration comes from. So
Yeah, I guess because I am so, or my body's so used to me abusing it from while I was software engineer. Because I abused my body almost more as a software engineer somehow than I did as while I was in the military. Um, because I worked longer hours a lot, and I worked harder mental hours. So much. And I was also after my onset had happened. So I guess my body now knows like what really bad looks like and what kind of bad looks like. So I think sometimes I mistake kind of bad for still okay. And I just push myself through because I'm like, I'm still okay. It's not bad. Like, it doesn't hurt that much. My back doesn't hurt that badly. If I sit in this position, I still feel okay. So I must be all right. Um, and that's the worst, is because that's way beyond when you should be feeling okay at that point. Because you're just like, because once your body is screaming at you, I've found that's when it's way past the point where it's like, hey man, you should have listened to me the first time I said this. Now you're paying for it. Um,
Yeah,
so
bodies
that's
are
my experience.
they're
They are.
vindictive little shits, you know?
They suck. So,
I
Stephanie,
Mhm.
what about you? What about your onset? And how has it impacted your life? Because I know you suffer from a different sets of chronic illness than Beth does and I do. Um,
Well, to
but
some okay,
some,
so migraines uh started when I was 9.
Mm.
I was chronic through high school, so I had a migraine every day in high school. Then it sort of backed off a lot in college, I think because I moved out of my mother's house. And then it was episodic until 2010 or so. Uh, to give you so I graduated high school in 1990. So what is that? 20 years of chronic, and then 20, 30,
uh,
20
from now, 1990
to
was
no to
30,
2010,
oh, to 2010.
2011.
I was going to say
Oh,
it's 35 because I'm 35. And I
You're only,
only
oh my
know that,
God,
yeah,
I feel like really old right now.
I
Uh,
feel really old most days. So,
yeah. We were having a conversation in the car with my almost 18-year-old son and talking about like 1980s music. And he goes, "You realize that was 40 years ago, right?" I'm like,
yeah, they
40
don't need to
years ago.
remind us. Like, you,
Back in the dark ages.
my favorite part is when people are like, "Yeah, you people from the late 1900s," and oh, we can
oh my God.
also, if you didn't know, when they look at your driver's license, if they see a one in the year, they just go, "Oh, yep, you have a one on your year. You're old enough."
I was just about to drop that in the chat. I was about to be like that. They don't even have to look at it hard. If it begins with a 1-9, then they know that you're old enough
At
to
this
buy
point, if it
alcohol.
begins with a
So
one, it doesn't even matter nine. If it's a
yeah,
1-8, 1-7,
yeah.
like those old geezers, Vampire Nosferatu is probably like a 1-2
Look,
or
anybody who's
something.
still alive from the 1800s deserves
That's right.
whatever you
Yeah,
That's
if
give
you're
right.
them.
that old, you get all the Medicare.
I'm gonna
Yeah.
be I'm gonna be 57 in 10 days. Don't talk age.
Oh, well, hey, I am really not that far behind you.
It, you both aren't that old. My oldest brother, I won't reveal his age, but it's not much younger than you either of you. So, and
I'm only 4 years older than Nick.
Oh gosh, you're a
we're
So
the
baby
young
too.
bucks.
Oh my goodness.
Okay,
All
I'll
right.
be
we
I'll be
interrupted you.
40 next
Well,
August.
the cool thing about
So
40, I found, is that I was much further along my way to not giving a fuck what other people thought than I was before hitting 40.
Yes. Yes. And I think when you are in your 50s,
Is
there
he-
there comes a whole different level. Like you just top out to I really don't give a fuck.
I
I think maybe I don't mean to. I really I do want to continue to hear your onset thing. I do not mean to cut it off, but I think maybe the chronic illnesses may have accelerated the timeline on that because I am firmly in. I do not care what anybody thinks
Yeah.
right
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
now, or
But I think
and that
fascism
and I
has a
very
part to
much
do
cared
that
up
too.
until I very much cared for a long portion of my life. The last several years have entirely changed that. So
yeah, it's
yeah.
it,
Fascism does have a
Yes.
yeah,
factor in it.
yes. But there's still some things that I'm like, obviously, I'm like vain about. Like, if I'm not gonna give a fuck what everybody thinks of this, then there are some things like I want to make sure I look younger than I am, which is kind of silly because it's all earned. But so anyway, yes, I am 53. So okay, so got through high school, got through college, got through my 20s, but I had migraines still, uh, like episodically. So a couple times a week, maybe. And then in 2010, 2011, my son was 3. Um, it turned chronic again. So that meant a migraine every day. And I'd always had some level of fatigue, and in high school it was chronic fatigue level. And then I got more energy. And then when the migraines turned chronic, the chronic fatigue really set in again. And so for the next, and then there's anxiety and depression mixed in. So for the next like 7 years, I did everything I could to like track down any kind of treatment, go to different doctors, try, from acupuncture to Reiki to dry needling to rehab, like this chronic illness rehab course, or chronic pain rehab course, which they didn't understand migraines, so that wasn't very helpful. Gained 70 pounds while doing that because all the migraine meds at that point were, or it wasn't migraine meds, it was also antipsychotic, anti-epileptic, what else did they put me on? Neuropathy. Like I was on all these heart, blood pressure, all these different kinds of meds, sometimes all at the same time, which didn't help the fatigue. So since 2011, I've had migraine basically every day, a couple of days without, not very many. And so onset for me isn't like a real like hard onset. I feel like I've always had them. And before I was 9 with head pain, I had stomach pain. So those are probably abdominal migraines, which kids can get. So if you have a kid who has a stomach ache all the time, that is entirely possibly migraines. So, so 2019, I had weight loss surgery because I had gained so much weight and I did not recognize myself in the mirror. So I did that. And within a couple of weeks, my my energy level had increased so much that I almost felt not normal, but like I could like walk up the stairs without all my muscles burning. So that was good. And that was in 2019. So that's, started a period where I had more energy, but not any better with the migraines really. And so there's no like real like onset. There's been waves. And I realized this week, my husband is amazing and I have rotator cuff tendonitis right now, which is, whatever, just a pain. It's not horrible, but like, it's a pain. And my husband's like, "Oh, I'm sorry you had such a rough day today." Like when I was just sort of managing. And I was like, we can't do that. Like, no, I can't like go to bed thinking that it was a hard day. Because if I do that, like the idea that all my days are hard days is too much for me to handle mentally. So if I get through it and if I can sort of screen out the pain and think about the other things in my day, it's kind of, it's lying to myself, but it's also really helpful for me to, at the end of the day, say, oh, I don't know, I had this good thing or I had that good thing. And like, unless it was just a really, really bad, could not function day, I really try to screen it out so that I don't feel like every night I'm going to bed after a bad day. So that is not at all the question, but that's kind of where I am.
No, but I think that's a good statement, though, is not every day can or should be a bad day, even if it is a bad day. Like, we have to look for the good in every bad day.
Hmm.
Um, we're kind of living through that now, anyways. Is like we live in a time where fascism is on the rise in the US. There's chaos everywhere. They're trying to push the world. Like when I say they, I mean some world leaders are trying to push us towards a world war for no fucking reason. Like literally no reason. There's no reason the world should be at war at this for a
Except
world
it
war.
makes
Like
certain people more rich.
yes, other than it makes some people money, but the
Mhm.
rest of us, all it does is cause stress and anxiety and chaos, and it puts us at a place where we have to find like, well, today was good because I woke up and I did what I wanted to this morning, and it didn't hurt as badly as I thought it would. So that's a
Mhm.
good day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Well,
wish it wasn't, um, but
No,
I
I
guess
think
that's what we got to live with.
so. My husband's birthday was yesterday, and with we went out to lunch with the 17-year-old who's like fully human at this point, and he's been sticking his head in the sand, doesn't want to like hear about current events because it's kind of too much for his anxiety. And he was like, we just have to be joyful. I was like, I know, but I just want to let you know that, I'm really like, he's looking at colleges, and I was like, I really want you to be close. And for not just because I want you close, but like if they start setting up roadblocks and invade, I want you to be able to like
mhm.
get to me, right? I know that makes me sound like an absolute lunatic.
No,
Not really.
no,
Not with you guys, like
no.
maybe with my family or whatever. And he's like, I understand, I got you. But we have to like be joyful when we can and enjoy our time together. And I was like, whoa, at least I taught you a little bit pretty well.
I'd be pretty proud if my kid said
See,
that.
there's your happiness and joy
Right.
that you can find right there. As you pass that along to him.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah, to
like
some extent, when he's well enough medicated. Otherwise, it's just a nightmare.
well, that too. But at least you have taught a son
This
who
is
is aware and self-conscious and is empathetic. And you should take daily joy and pride in the fact that you're a good mom, you're raising a great kid. Um,
Yeah.
and you're leaving a positive impact on the world by that is not a work thing. Just by you having taught your son over his lifetime, you have created a good human being so far.
That's actually making me choke up a little.
100%.
Because also, like, next year he'll be out of the house.
Mhm.
So yeah, but that is something like to really think about as we think about how we feel and how the world's going to shit, and how our kids' futures are not going to be the easier futures that we want for them.
Mhm.
Um, to at least know that you've created a good human being it's really important. So thanks for reminding me of that.
Welcome.
Damn, Nick and Stephanie are about to put me on my feels too, because not to add to the old conversation, but you are literally making me think of every text message I have with my mother on a daily basis right now, including the when he's properly medicated part, because my mom was a social worker and messages me daily to be like, I can recognize compulsions, and I'm like, Mom, I love you, but sometimes that's just passion. And normal, within the normal range, not that normal really exists, but medically, yes. Well, it's like there's okay, I have a whim or an urge, and then there's compulsion, and we're working on it. And she'll always be like, but are you taking your medication? Have you tried this one? And but because she cares, because she's trying to, we don't always see eye to eye or agree on everything, but a lot of what you're saying is a lot of the same stuff that I text my mom daily. I can be 75 years old, and if she was still alive when I'm 75, I'd still be texting her daily.
Well, that
Mhm.
is much
So
better than me being pretty excited about the pandemic, so that, oh God, I hope she's not watching, so I didn't have to see her for 4 years. But okay, weirdness. She it's about a year and a half started getting a lot nicer, and And we found out that she at some point had a stroke that no one ever picked up until she had like a new CT. And she's been nice ever since. She hasn't been mean. So, I don't even know what to say about that, but I'm glad that you have a great relationship with your mom because it's not always the case.
Yeah. No, it's both out of love and an active decision to do so, but also do like to tie it back into what we're talking about as well. It's definitely my family has a lot of love for each other. We have all scattered to the different ends of the spectrum, politically, socially, everything else. But that's part of my anchor is knowing, hey, look, my mom and I agree on the things that matter. And that there are other things where, I have somebody who may not necessarily agree with me. That way they're kind of an anchor. So even after conversations like you're talking about where, she'd be like, okay, but are you on your medication again? And I'd be like, and about 3 hours later, I'll get a message going, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to obsess. Like, I wasn't trying to hound you about your compulsion to want to move to Scotland. It's okay. And I'll be like, look, if you didn't worry about me, I would be worried about you.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. If my mom stopped worrying about me too, I'd be worried.
Yeah, 100%.
That's good, actually. That she's that word. So you're obsessed with moving to Scotland? I'm kind of obsessed with moving somewhere, but
Yeah, I'm obsessed.
We went to Ireland over Christmas, and despite having been in the military and despite my plethora of career changes over the years, thanks to leaving the military, and we know how that works after you get out, trying to find your place afterward. I never, despite all that, I had never been out of country. My time in the military, there's PTSD and insomnia and other stuff related to things that happened while I was in, but I never got deployed. And so Ireland was my first time out of country at 38 years old this last Christmas. And I knew that I loved it anyway because I've been obsessed with Ireland since I was 11 years old and fell in love with it. I felt like everything that was, my chronic fatigue and exhaustion and everything else wasn't gone, but manageable. And my wife, her family traces back to Scotland and not even that long ago. And my parents are currently over there on vacation. And I have legitimately looked into moving to Ireland or Scotland many, 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 many times. I may have an ongoing conversation with people about that, but I don't want to do that until after we unfuck everything that's going on, because I will be damned if somebody claims that I left to run away from it. And I'm not saying anybody who does so is wrong. I get that urge entirely, but I personally will not even consider that as an actual valid option until we're out of this administration. So,
yeah, I don't ever consider moving at this point.
Well, I consider it. I just won't do it because of
I mean,
that.
I would love to move to Europe, just to move to Europe. Like my wife and I had always talked about it at one point, but we've moved so much at this point that the appeal of moving isn't there anymore. So it's like moving is just like a headache, and it's like, ugh.
Oh, that's why it would have to be Ireland or Scotland. I am not moving this house or these dogs or my wife or myself or any of my belongings again for a 20-minute move or another state move. I will move because it is across the pond to the Emerald Isle, and that is the only way you're getting me to move again. So I moved.
Yeah. No, I'm moving hopefully to Maine next year, if not next year, the year after. But I've been in my house for 17 years. So, oh my God, it's like hanging over me like, ugh. I kind of wish I were in the military to the point where like you have the military movers. Just like, like that would be awesome if somebody would just come and take everything away.
They don't. They're not as good as
they're not that great, but they're not that great, but it does beat you having to do it yourself.
Well,
so
the foreign service ones, I have friends in the foreign service.
Oh yeah, no, 100. Oh,
they're
100%.
like, I mean, they move so often across the world in Saudi Arabia right now, and like, I don't think they have to do anything. I think it shows up where they want it to.
Yeah, it's just the domestic ones. I feel like instead of two men in a truck, you get two men, a dolly, and hopes and dreams,
That's
and
more
that's
And a
accurate.
bottle
Yeah.
of Tylenol for
and a bottle of ibuprofen and a
ibuprofen.
bottle of
Yeah.
Yeah.
ibuprofen.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
And we're not.
Um,
Maybe we ought to come back to the
okay.
point of this conversation.
Yeah.
Although it's
Okay. Back.
important.
It is. It is. We also, the fun thing about chronic illness is we all meander. Uh, but I think we all meander in a good way because we like going on tangents that like interest us. So it is fun. But getting back on track, is Jacob. Do you want to talk a little bit about some of your chronic illness, and when they've onset? I know you have some non-physical chronic illnesses too. That
Yeah. So that's the reason that I meandered, is so that I could forestall my turn. So, um, yes, as anybody who knows me on Substack knows, and Nick knows from knowing each other for a while now, most of mine are not physical. I mean, all of mine are not physical. Otherwise, I would not be able to own a gym, coach people, go do the things that I need to. All of mine are mental or in that kind of in between. And similar to what Stephanie was talking about, there are a lot of these that I can't point to the exact onset time of, and there are a couple that I can absolutely point to the onset timing of, because I operated under the illusions until about 2 years after I got out of the service that I did not have any chronic illnesses. It wasn't that I was trying to be a tough guy about it. I was trying to, go find, the coping and resiliency mechanisms for a lot of these, assuming that that would be all that I needed to do. And it wasn't until the urging of both of my parents, who are both prior military, both Army, who told me to go to the VA. And I felt guilty about that because I felt like if I went there, then, I'd be going in for what I considered a boo-boo compared to other people's, stuff that they had going on. And having not been combat, I did not want to go in there. And there was a lot of guilt behind it. But when I had a 28-year Army Special Forces dad and my 5 years in Army mom tell me to go in and to get the help that I needed, I ended up walking out with the help that I needed at the time, as well as, some compensation from the VA to be able to get the help that I needed. And at the time, that was stuff like, just trying to get diagnosed, get help for anxiety and depression. What I came out with was anxiety, depression, and PTSD, and insomnia, which all of a sudden made a lot more sense. And while I didn't like cracking that open, because I knew that if I cracked it open, I'd find out other things, it has helped me to mentally cope and to recognize, like we talked about earlier, that management of energy levels. Because when I say I got the help at the time, I have tried a lot of different medications over the years to help out. None of them quite stuck. So to an extent, it went back to resiliency and therapy and coping mechanisms as taught to me by both professionals at the VA and civilian professionals. And then I know this is going to sound cliche for, a lot of people, and other people are going to nod their heads, but I'm one of those people that CBD, THC absolutely
That's
helps. When Alabama passed the laws recently where they rewound our ability to get like the THC gummies, that was one of those times where I got a text from my mom, like, "Are you okay? Like, you're responding really like compulsively to this." And I was like, "I don't think you understand. I spent years trying to find a medication, a real medication that works, only to find that the only thing that kind of helped with all of those was some form of CBD, THC, synthetic, whatever, that helped out with that." And so I still have my legal, very legal, no, nothing illegal at all, ways of securing that ability to do that. But the onsets for me were going in and finding out that there was the foundation for this already, which really helped me to be able to cope when most of my PTSD triggering events happened after I got out of the military. And I'll try to wrap up here in a second. I'm not trying to monologue. But I had my youngest brother die while I was competing in a powerlifting competition, and I raised that youngest brother like a son because both of my parents went to work full time. And so I was there when he was born, and I raised him up until I went to the military. I got on with him twice a week to play video games and Skype him just to be able to continue to see him. And then got out of the military because if I wasn't going to be doing anything while I was in, if I wasn't going to get deployed, I wanted to be back home. And thank God I did, because it was, only a year and a half after that that he died, rather tragically. And having already had those tools and that process to cope in place helps to deal with that, because then not even a year later, my father, who was 28 years Special Forces, Mr. Green Beret, I call myself, Captain America, and I call him Major America. We had an accident where I was the only one with him when he fell 25 feet out of a tree onto his back. And he had no pulse, no color, no breathing, nothing. I thought he was dead. And I had to keep him alive for about 15 minutes until the paramedics got there. And I'm sitting there freaking out and going through every ounce of my combat lifesaver training to do so. And I could go into all the other PTSD triggers and all the other PTSD triggering incidents, the foundations for that, the onsets. But that one is definitely the one that when people talk about PTSD in the movies and the shows, try to give their audio-visual representation of how that looks. Obviously, we know that it doesn't look the same for everybody, but that's probably the closest. That is my thing that absolutely will wake me up in the middle of the night, or if it hits me, I'm out of it for the next at least 10 or 15 minutes, if not the whole rest of the day after that. But that is the thing that I struggle with, that I continue to, when it hits, and it is triggered. All of those together have triggered that chronic fatigue. That is the thing you talk about, like that chronic fatigue, that chronic exhaustion. All of those together have made it so that I used to be that guy that could, run around every day, that could, post 14,000 times on social media, not like fitfluencer stuff, but stuff that was like I was actually trying to engage with people, message them, check in on them, see how my family and friends were doing around the country. And I just don't have the energy for that anymore. Like, I do what I can when I can, but the chronic illness has this way of, you end up having to not change. I mean, you are literally changing yourself, but chronic illnesses make it so that you have to figure out the new you after this, where you want to continue to be genuinely you, but you have to, in order to be genuinely you have to be authentic and honest about what your limitations are and what you're willing to push through your limitations for if it's important, and to figure out what's not important enough to push past that so that you can save yourself for the times that matter. And that has been my biggest struggle for the last decade, is figuring that out and navigating that. And I'm currently going back through a new phase of that as I begin to take my gym from, brick and mortar to virtual. I'm sitting here prioritizing who matters to me and navigating my life as I'm about to turn 40, which seems like baby ages for some of the people here in the chat today. But no, chronic illness, and that's one of my other things. It's not just, figuring out your new you once. You are having to have the normal human experience where we all reinvent ourselves every 5 to 10 years. But for those with chronic illness, it's not some artistic choice. It's a necessity. In order for you to survive and not drown in your own energy, you have to refigure out who you are when that every in that period could be 2 years, it could be 10 years, but you have to figure out that new you on a somewhat regular basis and just hope that it's not going to take too much energy or drastically change you each time. So that's it. I'm done. I'm done monologuing.
Yes.
No, I love that, Jake. It did it for my.
Oh, how did you do that?
I have effects turned on my Mac, so it gives little hearts and shit.
Nice.
Oh no,
Yeah.
I got to do that.
I started to give you the one finger salute for your just being able to do it. So anyway,
So everyone who got to see Amazing Hearts come up on mine, you're welcome.
Now I'm
was-
gonna have to figure it out after we get off. I'm gonna have to do that.
You should. It's fun. It does not do it on the Substack app itself, though, just on your Mac if you have a MacBook. But I mean, I think it's important to like one of the reasons, Jacob, I asked you to come on for today was specifically because a lot of your stuff is not physical. And there's been comments in the chat about a ton of comments in the chat, positive and heart streaming in for everybody throughout the day. But Jacob, I think yours was really had a lot of hearts come in there at the end because it's about the mental side, especially when you started talking about your brother and then your dad and how everything.
just be glad I didn't cry.
Well,
Like,
and you didn't even talk into some of the recent stuffs, traumas that have been triggering to your PTSD.
last Sunday was very, very rough, and I'm still not okay from that, but I am working on recovering.
And I don't want you to go into it. I don't want you to have to retell it or relive what happened. I just want people to know, give Jacob some love. Keep giving him love over the next couple weeks. He had a pretty traumatizing event that he helped in and worked really hard uh, for somebody else again. And these types of events, we need to collectively come together and help, just like our physical traumas, is talk about them and open up, because then we actually can heal um, in some way, even though we're not like physically healing. Like fibromyalgia, we don't physically heal from, or PTSD, you don't mentally really heal from, but you teach coping mechanisms for yourself, and knowing that we're not alone is often for me the biggest piece.
I think that's
we cope and we grow.
I think it is the bigger piece is supporting each other, finding community, and knowing you're not alone, because it can be very isolating. I don't know if anybody else has that, but it, especially when you have like severe anxiety, for me it's
Absolutely.
isolating. So I appreciate this very much.
Well,
Yeah.
I'm glad you're here, Beth, and I totally hear you. There were like 8 years of my life where I didn't like practically leave the house, and people would, when I did, people were like, "Oh, you look fine to me." I'm like, yeah, that's because you don't see me when I'm not fine, because I don't leave the house.
Exactly. Well, I'm glad y'all are here. So
Yeah.
It's really important.
Mm-hmm.
It is.
And I think sometimes go ahead.
Go ahead.
I was just in this anti-fascism work, we're like, I think that for me, the two sides of me are, I got to do this work and I have to keep doing it because that's what's going to keep me like actually from spinning out into, deep depression. But also like burnout comes faster for me. And so like figuring out, and all of us in this work, learning how to balance that need to do stuff with the demands of the body is a hard one.
Yes.
Yeah, definitely.
very
That sort of leads into, I'll go into my onset,
Yes.
is learning about the demands of the body. Is so when my onset was, at least for my fibro, I've had chronic back issues forever, and I've had chronic knee issues since high school and college. I had my first knee surgery in my sophomore, junior year of college. And then I re-injured my knee in the army, and I've had three knee surgeries since then. In the last 2 years at this point is three knee surgeries. But my fibro kicked in 2.5 years ago, almost now. when I re-injured my knee, coaching my son's soccer team. Um, I was waiting to get a knee surgery already, and I was coaching my son's soccer team, and we were doing a drill, and it was either, and I felt something snap in my knee, and it was either take the extra steps to avoid falling on top of a 6-year-old and hurting them, or fall on them. So I had to take the extra steps because I wasn't going to fall on one of my kids and hurt them. And it did more damage to me. But then I went to my doctor's appointment, which was luckily for me the next day, but unluckily for me because the doctor wasn't getting paid to be seen for a new injury. They didn't look at it, and this was at the VA, and they didn't look at it, and I like had to fight to get a knee brace or anything, and they're like, and because he sort of just ignored it, I was like, well, I guess it can't be that serious if the knee surgeon is not looking at my knee that he's supposed to be doing, like getting surgery set up for me, isn't looking at it, so it can't be that bad. Well, apparently it was a really bad meniscus tear, that ended up getting surgery, the first of two on my
Mhm.
left knee in the last year and a half. But during that time, I was working really hard. I was a software engineer, and I was working my ass off for a company, and there was a lot of stressors. I was getting bullied consistently at work. A part of my team was very unhappy at work, and they were getting less happy, and my body sort of just gave up, and I went from walking very gingerly to a cane to a wheelchair, in like 2 or 3 days, um, and then had a ER surgeon um, explain to me that the previous doctor didn't look at my stuff because they weren't going to get paid for it, and had me to and told me in front of my kids how little my life was worth because he kept talking about the money aspect of it and nothing else. Um, and so I looked at that was one of the first times I've ever truly wanted to like just die. Um, and I told the nurse that if the doctor kept talking, I would rather be dead. Um, I was not left alone after that point, which I expected because when you say you're suicidal, they sit with you at the hospital, which is good. Um, However, this was after I had worked with the patient advocate to even get seen. And then they stuck me in a little room, and my kids were in the room with me. Um, and so I was super stressed out during all of this. So I think stress has a huge factor on it, both
Mhm.
physical and emotional stress. But also, there is a like switch, like something happens that turns some of these illnesses on or conditions on where it wouldn't have otherwise been triggered, or it may have been muted for a long time.
Mhm.
Um, but I definitely know for mine was when my knee surgery happened, and then stress piled on, and then finally a doctor told me that I should just be that my care was less important than the paycheck that the doctor wasn't going to get by him easily could have just go, hey, I'm sending you to the ER right now. That's all he had to do.
Well, he
That's
also
all
could
the
have just
doctor could have
moved.
done.
Having had a meniscus tear, all he
I
had
have.
to do was like move your knee in like different directions to know
Mhm.
like
He didn't
what
even
it
touch
was.
me during the appointment I was there to get my final consultation for a knee surgery with, which I then waited 6 months for to
Mhm.
get. And during that time was when my fibro initiated. And the VA's response to that was a slap on the wrist to the doctor who told me how little my life was worth. And I've since had to advocate stronger than ever to continue
Mhm.
getting care. It took until just a couple months ago. Oh no, a year ago now. It took till a year ago now to get fibro as a condition listed on my actual medical record. And so, yeah, it sucks. And it sucks when you don't get believed when you have conditions. I know that's similar for it's a across the spectrum experience for everyone is we don't get believed. Um, and I don't even know if it's the doctor's fault half the time. I think they're so used to having to be like, we have to go through all these procedures that we're just not going to believe you until you're like dying. So too bad. But I live on medication now. Like I live on like a scheduled medication timeline. Like it just kind of sucks to do all of that. Um, and I
Mhm.
know we're hitting, I'm watching the time because we're just getting to the top of the hour here, and I don't want to keep us too long. If you guys have a couple extra minutes, love to stay on just so that we can finish up our conversation for the morning. Um, and to finish up my story is, yeah, that was, I think it's a big stress, just body, emotionally, both like PTSD has all to do with like emotional triggers. I
Mhm.
used to wake up right after I got home from Afghanistan. My wife will tell you is I did it to her a couple times is I would wake up in the middle of the night and I would scream incoming and I would grab her and pull her off the bed with me to get her into a safe spot. She was not very happy about that. Um, but
Mhm.
like that's PTSD has physical ramifications that a lot of we don't always talk about.
The
Um,
body remembers.
yeah,
Yeah, I mean, the mind body connection is so strong.
It is.
And, for a long time, people were like, woo woo, mind body connection. But actually, like it's chemical, it's hormonal, it's like all these things that we don't understand yet that are contributing to whatever's going on in your mind, impacting your body and vice versa.
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, it's a lot, and I'm hoping we didn't get into anyone into the chat. I saw a couple people show up saying what they've gone through. Morgan, I saw yours. Also, happy birthday. I saw you sneak that in there somewhere in the beginning. Um,
Happy
See,
birthday.
I'm on Stephanie's live, so I can only see the chat on Stephanie's live. I did not see Morgan. I was wondering when Morgan
oh,
was going to
she's
pop
in
up.
your
So happy
live,
birthday,
Jacob.
Morgan.
I'm
Okay.
only in Nick's and
I
mine
clicked.
because I couldn't find Jacob.
And
Yeah, I tried finding all of ours, and Stephanie's was the only one that popped up. So that's the only one I've been able to follow the chat in. Morgan, I'm not ignoring you.
Happy birthday, Morgan.
Love you.
Happy birthday.
Okay, Nick,
And
it's your turn.
Your turn. Do it.
do it. Yeah, happy birthday, Morgan.
No, there we go. Sorry.
And so also to like just I'm going to get us into our next screen so I can give everyone's QR codes here a second. And I want to get everyone to just say where they can be found, how people can support them, what they're doing, um, on all this, and an invite, obviously, to come back next week, as always, for the three of you. It is always open. I love getting to talk with you, any of the three of you. And this conversation really helps center me for the week ahead. Is that I'm not alone. We're not alone in the chat and all around. So I really thank you all for coming, and everyone in the chat too. It's a great way to start the week, at least for me. Um, so I'm gonna get us switched over to our. Hold on. I'm learning, talk about learning new things and having to be overwhelmed as I went from a tech career to learning how to be a podcast host um, in like 2 months.
Yeah,
And so,
that's what's bothering me. That's what's bothering me right now is as an advertising and PR guy, I'm sitting here going, I know how to do most of these things, but I haven't had any time to do them. So I am the lowest tech, lowest presentation presence.
I
You
thought
know,
I
nobody
I'm
cares.
behind you.
No. Well,
nobody
Okay,
really cares.
well,
Jacob,
I think I'm higher tech than
okay.
most.
I spent a bunch of my
well,
career doing PR too, and people go, oh well, just do podcasts, it's no big deal. And then you're like, you go and you need to this product for that, and that product for this, and this product for that. And then they're always changing because it's SaaS, because then they change it all the time, and then you can't figure it out again. I mean, like, it's.
I really need
Look,
to
we're
change
gonna
that picture
QR
for
code
when we're
it
on
right
talks
here.
about.
Look at this.
I've got to change that picture for when we're doing more serious talks like chronic illness, where I'm like, so we're talking about all these chronic illnesses. Here's Jacob shirtless with a
See,
rucksack
there you
on.
go.
but you
So,
thirst trap for freedom, so it's on brand
for
with
freedom,
you.
yes.
So Jacob, since I
Yes.
have yours spun up here, where can people find you? How can they support your work?
Well, there's the QR code right there, so that's a great start. I know Beth's already on that. So I've got 3 projects on here. The Better Human Project. Well, I'll start. Bars and Stripes is my gym, which I am taking entirely to online coaching. I already have a brand new client signed up from on here, Morgan, and another one from today. Shield and Shadow is where I post my writing and my art. I'm currently writing a book. And then the Better Human Project is pretty much for everything else, tying into chronic illness. And I talked about how it, makes you have to kind of figure out your new self rather regularly. It's about trying to help others work on their mind, body, heart, and soul by documenting my attempt and journey to do so, and bringing on people who talk about how they're doing it for themselves, with a mix of health, news, and politics brought in, because you can't be friends with Nick Perro or be Jacob Summers without talking about politics to some extent. So
You're not wrong. You're not wrong. So thank you, Jacob. And please go subscribe with Jacob and just at Coach Cap. You can find him. Go subscribe with him. He's a good friend of mine. And please support his work as he grows. Stephanie, let's get your QR up here too.
Thank you. So I can be at freedomoverfascism.us will get you to my Substack, and I know Nick put it in the chats, and you can also get there, but at Freedom Over Fascism. I've been doing a lot of lives, which I'm actually really enjoying. Talk a lot about what's going on from either historical points of view or different pieces of a deeper look into why our society is where it is, or what we ought to be thinking about for the future. And I don't talk about this that much. I have a business that does leadership development training based on the concept of better humaning, and being a better human makes you a better leader from wherever you are. And, teaching people how to do certain skills better, but also how to bring their best humanity, and the concept that leadership is about making everyone around you better and feel better and work better. Oh, I think I found a soulmate, as opposed to like ordering people around. And I got a kid going to college, and that's taking up a lot of time. And I'm a loony, as you've all seen. But anybody who wants to get in touch just for anything,
well, it just might be
available.
The tip we're looking for. So there we go.
Yeah, right. Oh my gosh.
There you go. Yeah.
Thank you, Stephanie. I appreciate that. And Coach, it sounds like you have a new possible guest for your show for some better human projecting.
My people will talk to your people.
Right, absolutely.
AKA me to you.
Exactly.
I'll get my dog in touch with your dog. We'll see what they think.
Well, we might have a dog cute off.
Which one? I've got 5.
I've got 2.
I've got 3.
Oh, and I've only got 1. And she's my
Wow,
husband's
we got
dog.
a
My God.
lot of dogs. And Beth, let's switch over to you, my friend. Thank you, Stephanie, by the way. I appreciate having you. Beth, let's switch over to you.
Oh yeah, that was. You can see what weight gain does. That was 2 years ago. So you can find me at Beth Cruz on Substack. I'm a fairly new writer working on just putting my memoir out there instead of publishing it, and following politics, and just right now I'm unemployed and I'm reinventing myself after walking out of a job last year. So here I am. Come see me.
Well, you are still absolutely beautiful, and your glasses are a vibe that I am digging.
Thank you.
So,
Thank you.
Agreed.
Agree 3.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
So
One
Beth,
more. One more.
one
there
more.
we go.
All
One
right,
more.
Nick,
Oh,
you're
there
there
we
for
go.
us.
I
All
needed
right.
that. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I am turning that on before next time
Good.
so I can do it
You
too.
should. I'm disappointed you haven't already done it, Jacob.
Fair.
And then finally, so thank you, Beth, for joining us again. I really appreciate it that you came on today. Thank you for the show idea, also for the onset. This has been a wonderful conversation thus far. And all of you know me. I'm Nick Parrow. This is the Sick of the Shit publications. I actually had a name change. We went from Sick of the Shit with Nick to Sick of the Shit publications. I've done some official updates, and this is now the Sick of the Show, as always. But you guys can all find me here. Nothing has changed on where you can find me. None of my work is paywalled. But I know I appreciate any subscribe, paid, free founders. We have 4 founding subscribers with us now. I appreciate all 4 of you. One of you I know is in the show, or in my live today. Thank you so much um, for supporting us in the growth, and supporting me. I'm also making this full time, as well as my other publication, Banner and Backbone, which so many of you also know about. And
Mhm.
I've had 2 of you on thus far as guests, for Banner and Backbone, and Jacob contributes off and on, pretty on, for Banner and Backbone in a lot of ways. So he's still an unofficial contributor with us right now, though we'll see how things for now. We wanted I wanted Jacob to be able to find his voice, and find who he is as a writer and a podcaster again. But I invited him back in to the fold because I was like, ooh, I want to talk to Jacob more often again. Um, so go follow all 4 of us, please. The QR codes are in the show. It's already actually going to be available on YouTube to be able to click through if you want. So we do stream this live on Substack and YouTube. Please find us, me on YouTube also. I'll put that in the show notes. If you want to subscribe to my YouTube channel, that would be appreciated. Almost halfway to the 500. We're almost up to 200
Follow.
subscribers. We need more on YouTube to get into that paywall mark. But please help us all on the journey, as we're growing. And I look forward to seeing everyone again next week. And join me later today, for Palin Talk with Shane Urick and Melissa Corrigan today, as we talk flocking around, with flock security cameras and the surveillance state. So
That's uplifting.
it is. It's going to be a great uplifting conversation.
Maybe you should present it, Nick. The surveillance state. I mean, is there a way to make it?
The surveillance state, flocking around,
Flocking.
finding out.
Yeah, right. There you go.
Just have the whole Batman surveillance, like phones behind you. It's like a Zoom background.
How can we make it
Just
more
make it-
uplifting?
Yeah, that sounds dark, Jacob. I'll just have the
Well, you could
Riddler.
put-
I'll
you
just
could
have the
put
Riddler
raves.
behind me, the new Riddler too, like super dark with like creepy ass question marks, like where are they tracking you now, Batman?
Well, instead of security footage on the cameras behind you, you can just always put like dog videos. I don't know.
Happy cat videos and dog videos.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank
right.
you, everyone. I hope everyone has a wonderful morning to the almost 300 people we have with us this
Are
morning
you
across our
kidding?
4
Wow.
channels. Appreciate every single one of you for coming in. We'll see you next week for another chronic illness in practice discussion. And I'll see y'all later today and tomorrow. Thanks, everyone.
All right.
Have a great
Take
Monday.
care. Bye-bye.
Bye.